Since 4th edition, it has been incredibly difficult to have a D&D player character die. What happens when your character dies? Do your companions pay out the nose to have him resurrected? Does your group role-play an elaborate and expensive funeral as a final send-off? Do you write up a new character as your old one is looted by the party? Or do you continue your adventurer's career in a different form? Greetings, travellers. I am Shoot Cum, the Chimney Summoning Wizard, and welcome to the second episode in my series on the Lost Worlds of D&D. Today we are looking at a rather odd setting from 3rd edition, which allows you to play as a dead person. This is Ghostwalk. Ghostwalk is a standalone setting with a single splatbook taking place in a sprawling necropolis named Manifest, which is built over a cave system housing the mysterious veil between this life and the next. Due to the proximity of this veil, Manifest and its surrounding lands have the interesting effect of making wandering spirits of the dead act more or less alive. But how did this ghoulish place come to be? Many ages passed, and elf swore to never leave her twin brother's side, but he fell in battle against a demon. She followed his spirit into a distant forest and found him walking among the trees there, along with other elves who had died. Over time, more elves arrived to tend to this sacred spirit grove, and found a cave which led to a series of caverns full of ghosts of the other races. At the bottom of this cavern network lay a strange gate guarded by dwarves called the Vale of Souls, which leads to the afterlife. Naturally, news of this place attracted pilgrims and adventurers. Those pilgrims and adventurers attracted merchants, and Manifest was built. For the first time. It was burned down by a barbarian warlord and his hordes. He thought he would achieve immortality by conquering death itself. Manifest was then rebuilt and found itself under the control of a nearby kingdom which levied a toll against any travellers on their way to Manifest. Because the spirits of the dead were often travelling with their own dead body on pilgrimage to Manifest, it became common practice for caravans to avoid authorities by using those same spirits as scouts. This gave the way to Manifest the name of the Ghostwalk. Of course, denying the dead a funeral is generally seen as a dick move, so all nearby kingdoms signed an agreement not to do this. Manifest would be destroyed a second time when a cult tried to infiltrate and take control of the city. This resulted in a riot so widespread it was recorded as a war, and took nearly 300 years for Manifest to be rebuilt in any meaningful way. There are two more conflicts after this, an attempted invasion by a lich, and an attempted takeover by Yuan-Ti. By this stage, Manifest had developed its own unique culture including magic practices, so both invasive groups were repelled by armies of ghosts, knights, ghost knights, and necromancer specialists called ectomancers. After this is the point where your adventures are supposed to begin. This is a problem I have with D&D material from 3rd edition onwards. Every interesting event has already happened, and there is a finality to the writing without much room for interpretation. Also, all the heroes with epic world-changing gear have just finished wiping the mud from their boots. Instead of recovering the crown of lich smashing or the purple trumpet of constipation from some dungeon or monster lair, some arsehole walking around town already has it, and will sit around with his thumb up his arse until the inevitable epic final battle. Wait, what was this setting about again? Actually, playing as a ghost uses game mechanics one might not expect. Those of you used to modern D&D might think you have to rewrite your entire character as some sort of ghost race. Fortunately, this is not the case. And you don't have to do any more paperwork than 3rd and 3.5 edition D&D already expects you to. Ace. While there are ghost feats which grant characters ghost abilities, one does not simply take a feat to become a ghost. Face. Instead, there are two classes which you take without incurring the usual multi-class penalties for this edition. The first class is the Eidolon. Well, look at that. Those roguish sorcerers dwelling upon the coast can name their classes without them sounding inane after all. The second is the... what's that? Eidoloncer? I take it back. If those shits want my praise, I can call the Pinkertons to extract it from my wizard towers or a box of unreleased Magic the Gathering cards. Good luck breaching the liminal space between dimensions to reach it, you corporate goons. Anyway, the Eidolon advances as a martial class with lots of ghost feats, and the Eidoloncer advances as a caster, granting extra spell slots. Any caster, by the way. Good luck figuring out which classes advances the spell casting capabilities of when you already have levels in two casting classes. While both of these classes get all the benefits of being a player character, and some from being a ghost, this is balanced out by the fact that for each level a ghost character gains, he must take a ghost class. If his ghost level exceeds his other levels, he is compelled to travel through the Vale of Souls to the afterlife forever. Fortunately, A simple cleric's Raise Dead spell will allow a ghost character to exchange a ghost level for another class level at any point.
But shoot, Cam. Changing one level for another means you have to reroll hit dice and adjust stats. Players would have to keep a strict record of every change to the character sheet to make this happen. You said players don't need to do any more paperwork than normal to play as a ghost.
Well, you... At least... Fuck you, Strawman. If a character passes through the Veil of Souls, either as a ghost or by shoving their way past the Death Warden dwarves, this is not the end of the character. In fact, there are a special set of rules for who gets to return from the afterlife. Firstly, the only items a character brings with him to the afterlife are the special ghost items detailed in the equipment section of Chapter 1 of the Splat Book. All other items vanish only to reappear if the character crosses back through the Veil of Souls. Secondly, living characters may cross the Veil of Souls freely, provided they can find an exit in the afterlife. This also applies to ghost characters under certain conditions. Thirdly, a ghost character may not cross back into the land of the living if his ghost level exceeds his other levels. Fourthly, a ghost is reunited with his corpse if it is pushed through the Veil of Souls, allowing him corporeal form in the afterlife. Such a character cannot return to the land of the living. Everyone else in the afterlife is incorporeal. Finally, any creature which returns from the afterlife retains no memory of what transpired there. As such, creatures do not gain XP while in the afterlife. A shame. At least you can keep a small amount of treasure, but only the aforementioned ghost items. Before you think you can sidestep any of these restrictions with dimensional travel spells, just know that the only place the ethereal plane connects to the afterlife is the exit portal from Manifest, so none of these spells will do anything. This wouldn't be a proper 3rd edition supplement without adding a bunch of skills, feats, spells, and of course, prestige classes. Dwarves who can cast divine spells of 3rd level, and have destroyed undead with positive energy, and have been involved in a ritual called the Hallowing, may join the ranks of the Death Wardens as a chanter. Elves and half-elves may join the ranks of Arboreal Guardians. A character who has been knocked unconscious by a ghost may become a Ghost Hunter. A character who has been level drained by the undead may become a Bone Collector. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. You gather bones and make them into weapons and armor for yourself, or use them to empower some not very powerful divine magic. While Ghostwalk is a standalone setting, the book itself has a 1/3 page panel talking about how to port the setting to Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk. But if you use what lies beyond the Veil of Souls, setting-specific cosmology regarding the afterlife goes out the window. This is but a minor problem, however. Ghostwalk was released in June 2003. D&D 3.5 was released in July 2003. Ghostwalk got 2 web supplements. The first was errata, and the second was a conversion kit for the 3.5 revision. It has been 20 years. I cannot find these supplements. My best bet was a PDF which lists them in the sidebar as titles, but as far as I can tell they are not in the document. Some legwork for conversion may be required. Finally, there's the elephant in the room. The reason I have not referred to Ghostwalk as having any horror themes is because beyond ghosts, it lacks them. D&D already had a well-established horror setting, rendering the need for horror themes in Ghostwalk entirely redundant. Ghostwalk was dead on arrival. Pause for laughter. The setting was ambitious for what it tried to do, but was ultimately set up for failure. I'm not a fan of 3rd edition, but it should be playable enough for a campaign revolving around ghosts and the undead. However, as full-blown horror goes, you might just be better off running Ravenloft. Until we next meet, fare thee well.